Have you ever cried and not known why? Or suddenly felt panic in a place that should feel safe? A grocery store, a sunny sidewalk, someone's arms. In Chapter 12 of The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk shares a truth many people don't realize until much later in their healing journey. Trauma isn't remembered as a story, it's felt as a reaction. And those reactions, tightness in the chest, nausea, numbness, aren't random. They're your body trying to say something happened, even if you can't remember what. One of the most haunting stories in this chapter is about a woman named Marilyn. On the surface, her life looked steady. She was a school administrator, well-spoken, responsible, but she had a secret. Sometimes, without warning, she would freeze. Her vision would blur. Her arms would go cold. Her legs would stop moving. She wasn't having a stroke. Doctors couldn't find anything wrong. What she was having were body flashbacks. During one of these episodes, while in a therapy session with van der Kolk, she collapsed to the ground and curled into a fetal position. She didn't speak. She just shook. No story, no memory, just a flood of terror, held in muscle and breath. Over time, through gentle therapy and deep body work, fragments started to emerge. A man's voice, a room with no light, hands, pain, silence. Marilyn had been abused as a child. So young, she hadn't had the words for what happened, but her body had never stopped remembering. Then there's Tom, a Vietnam veteran and firefighter. He came into therapy not to talk about war, but because he couldn't stand the sound of a crying baby. Anytime he heard one, in a grocery store, on a plane, his hands would shake, his heart would race, and he'd have to leave. He didn't know why. Until one day in therapy, he remembered carrying the body of a dead child after a napalm bombing in Vietnam. He'd wrapped her in a wet cloth, trying to cool her burns, but it was too late. The sound of babies crying wasn't just annoying, it was unbearable grief, replaying itself over and over, without words. Flashbacks are not memories, van der Kolk explains. They are relivings. And unless they're processed safely, they can haunt us for decades. Here's the science behind it. When something traumatic happens, especially early in life, the brain's language center often shuts down. The event gets stored not as a story, but as a sensation, as fear, as freeze. It's a survival mechanism. The brain prioritizes getting through, not making sense of it. That's why many trauma survivors feel like something's off in their body long before they remember anything clearly. And it's why therapy that only focuses on talk can sometimes miss the most important piece, what the body has been carrying. For Marilyn, it wasn't enough to just talk. What helped her begin healing were body-based therapies like sensorimotor psychotherapy, which let her track physical sensations without being overwhelmed by them. Yoga, where she relearned how to feel tension without dissociating. And safe relationships, where her body could begin to learn what calm connection felt like, maybe for the first time. Tom, the firefighter, found relief through EMDR, a technique that uses eye movements to gently process traumatic memories. As he reprocessed that memory of the child in Vietnam, his brain slowly began to place it in the past, instead of reliving it like it was still happening. He could finally hold his grandchildren without flinching. If your body reacts in ways you don't understand, if you feel panic, shut down, or dread that makes no sense, you're not weak. You're not crazy. You're remembering in the way your body knows how. So try this. Sit somewhere quiet and place your hand gently over your heart. Notice your breath. Ask yourself, what sensation is here? Don't analyze, just listen. When something feels overwhelming, try pressing your feet into the floor. Feel your body's weight. Remind yourself, I'm here now. You don't have to unlock every memory. You only need to learn how to stay with yourself, slowly, kindly, patiently. Trauma doesn't always speak in words. Sometimes it shows up in nightmares, in avoidance, in aches we can't explain. But your body is not betraying you. It's trying to protect you, even now. And when we learn how to listen, that protection can turn into power, into healing. The body keeps the score, but healing begins the moment you believe your body and stop trying to silence it. If this chapter felt like it was written for you, there's more in the book that gently holds space for your story. Even the parts you don't yet have words for, you're not alone in this. and you're not too late to begin again.